The sky above Valia Prime burned with orange fire. Thelva stood in the command center, his crystalline body flickering with dim light. Around him, other Valians moved in panic. Their lights flashed in patterns of fear and despair. Outside the transparent walls, their beautiful city was dying. The towers that had stood for thousands of years crumbled into dust. The gardens where Valian children played were now covered in a black, burning substance. And above it all, the Ravagers descended like a dark cloud. Thelvas had lived for 300 cycles. He had seen the rise of new technologies. He had witnessed the birth of colonies on distant moons. He had celebrated countless festivals of light. But he had never seen war. His people had never known war. The Valians were builders, thinkers, and artists. They created beauty. They did not create weapons. The Ravagers did not care about beauty. They only consumed. High Coordinator, a young Valian named Pelrim, approached. His light was barely visible, weak with terror. The southern continent has fallen. The shields are failing everywhere. We have maybe 2 days before they reach the core cities. 2 days. 43 million Valians had already died in the past month. Their bodies dissolved by the acid the Ravagers sprayed. Their homes consumed by the living ships that filled the sky. The Ravagers were like a disease spreading across their world, eating everything. Thelvas moved to the central console. His fingers, long and delicate, touched the controls. A holographic display appeared, showing the entire Valian system. Red markers covered most of it. Each red marker was a place where Ravagers had landed. Each one was a place where his people had died. Have the other civilizations responded to our calls? Thelvas asked, though he already knew the answer. Pelrim's light dimmed further. The Cosmic Council sent their regrets. They say the Ravager swarm is too dangerous. The Traded Federation refused to risk their fleet. The Alliance of Peaceful Worlds is still debating whether to help us. Still debating. While children died. While families were torn apart. While an entire civilization faced extinction. Thelvas felt something he had never felt before. It was not just fear. It was not just sadness. It was anger. His people were dying, and the galaxy's response was silence or empty words. He walked to a sealed section of the command center. The other Valians watched him with confusion. This section had been locked for generations. Inside was something ancient. Something forbidden by the Council of Peaceful Worlds. High Coordinator, what are you doing? Pelrim asked. Something I should have done weeks ago, Thelvas replied. He placed his hand on the seal. It recognized his pattern and opened. Inside was a device covered in dust. It was called the Galactic Beacon. It was old technology, created long before the Council existed. The beacon could send a message across the entire galaxy. Any species with advanced technology could receive it. But the Council had forbidden its use. They said it was too dangerous. They said it might attract the wrong kind of attention. They said civilized species did not call randomly into the void for help. Thelvas looked at the display showing his dying world. He thought about civilized species debating while his people burned. Activate it, he ordered. The technicians hesitated. But the Council is not here, Thelvas said firmly. The Council is not dying, we are. Activate the beacon, they obeyed. The ancient device hummed to life. Power flowed through circuits that had not been used in 1,000 years. The beacon began broadcasting on every frequency, using every method of communication known to galactic science. Thelvas recorded the message himself. He showed images of his world before the Ravagers came. Then he showed the destruction. The burning cities, the dissolved bodies, the children whose lights had gone out forever. This is High Coordinator Thelvas of Valia Prime, he said, his voice steady despite his fear. We are under attack by the Ravager swarm. Our defenses have failed. Our allies will not help us. 43 million of my people are dead. In 2 days there will be no Valians left alive. If anyone can hear this message, if anyone is willing to help, please respond. We are dying. Please help, the message transmitted. It shot out across the galaxy at faster than light speed. It reached the Cosmic Council, who had already refused to help. It reached the Traded Federation, who considered the Valians too weak to save. It reached 100 other civilizations who heard the plea and turned away. The message traveled through the spiral arms of the galaxy. It passed systems filled with life and systems long dead. It moved through the void where no one lived. And finally, in a distant corner of space, it reached a small blue world that was not part of any galactic organization. It reached Earth. Lieutenant Jay was monitoring the deep space array when the signal arrived. He was young for his position, only 28 years old. His shift was normally quiet. Humanity had only recently developed faster-than-light communication, and they had not yet met many alien species. When the message came through, Jay almost fell out of his chair. The computer automatically translated the alien language. Jay watched the images in horror. He saw cities burning. He saw people dying. He saw children running from monsters that dissolved them with acid. His hand moved to the communication panel without thinking. "Captain Hana, you need to see this now." Captain Hana arrived in the monitoring room 3 minutes later. She was a tall woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. She had served in Earth's military for 15 years. She had seen combat. She had lost friends in battle. But even she went pale watching the Velian message. "How far away are they?" she asked. Jay checked the coordinates. "About 40 light years. With our new drives, we could reach them in 3 days. 3 days. They said they have 2 days left." "Yes, Captain." Hana was quiet for a long moment. She watched the message again. She saw a father trying to shield his child as the Ravagers came. She saw the light in their bodies fade and die. "Contact Earth Command," Hana ordered. "Priority 1. Tell them we have a first contact situation and a request for humanitarian aid. Request permission to investigate and render assistance. Captain, we don't know anything about these aliens. We don't know what we're getting into." The message mentioned a Ravager swarm. "That sounds dangerous." Hana looked at him. Her eyes were hard. "Lieutenant, we just watched millions of people die while their allies debated and ran away. If Earth is going to join the galactic community, we need to decide what kind of species we're going to be. Are we going to be like the ones who ignored that call? Or are we going to be different?" Jay nodded slowly. He understood. He sent the message to Earth Command. The response came back in 20 minutes. It was shorter than Hana expected. "Granted. Force Authorization Alpha. Rules of engagement. Flexible. Make them remember," Hana smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just found prey. "Lieutenant, prepare the fleet. We're going to Velia Prime. What should I tell the crew?" "Tell them we just received our first call for help from aliens. And tell them we're going to show the galaxy what humans do when someone asks for help." 3 Earth ships prepared for departure. They were not beautiful ships. They were not elegant or graceful. They were built for war. They were covered in armor and weapons. They looked like what they were, tools designed by survivors of a deadly world. As the ships entered faster-than-light travel, Jay sent one more message to Velia Prime. It was simple. Message received. Earth is coming. Hold on. The 3 Earth ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Velian system. Inside the command center of the lead ship, Captain Hana studied the displays. What she saw made her jaw tighten. The system was a war zone. Debris floated everywhere. Broken Velian ships drifted in the void, and surrounding the planet were thousands of dark shapes. The Ravagers. Even from this distance, they looked wrong. The bioships were not built. They were grown. They pulsed and moved like living things. Because they were living things. "Get me a count," Hana ordered. Lieutenant Jay worked his console. His face went pale. "Captain, I'm reading over 3,000 Ravager bioships. And those are just the ones in orbit. There are more on the planet's surface. Any Velian ships left? A few small vessels. Nothing military." "I don't think they have a military." Hana nodded slowly. "A peaceful species. They had built a civilization without weapons." She wondered what that must be like. Earth had never known such peace. Humanity had been fighting since the first human picked up a rock to defend themselves. "Open all frequencies," Hana said. "Let's introduce ourselves." Jay activated the communication system. Hana spoke clearly. "Velian Command, this is Captain Hana of Earth. We received your distress call. We're here to help. Please respond." For a long moment there was silence. Then a weak signal came through. The voice was translated by the ship's computer. It sounded old and tired. "This is High Coordinator Thelvas. You came. But Earth is not part of the Galactic Council. We did not think anyone would respond." "We're not part of any council," Hana replied. "But we heard your call. We're here now. What's your situation?" There was a pause. Then Thelva said quietly, "We have perhaps 1 day left, maybe less. Our shields are failing. The Ravagers are everywhere. They have already killed 43 million of my people. Soon there will be no one left." Hana looked at her crew. She saw Commander Hyun standing near the weapons station. He was the leader of the ship's Marines. His face was stone. She saw Dr. Sue at the medical station. The doctor's hands were clenched into fists. She saw Jay at communications. His young face was filled with anger. Good. Anger was useful. Coordinator Thelvis, we're going to need information about the Ravagers. Send us everything you have. Their biology, their tactics, their weaknesses. They have no weaknesses, Thelvis said, his voice breaking. They are perfect predators. They adapt to everything. They cannot be stopped. 17 other species have tried. All of them failed. All of them are gone now. Then we'll be the first to succeed, Hana said firmly. Send us the data. We'll review it and make a plan. The data came through. Jay and the tactical team studied it. The more they read, the worse it looked. The Ravagers were a hive species. They had no individuals, only the swarm. They reproduced quickly. They could survive in space. Their bioships could heal themselves. They used acid weapons that dissolved most known materials. They were fast, strong, and utterly without mercy. While the crew studied the data, Thelvis made a decision. He accessed Earth's file in the Galactic Archive. What he found made his light flicker with fear. Earth was classified as a death world. Class 9 hazard. The warnings were clear. Extreme gravity. Dangerous atmosphere. Severe temperature variations. Abundant predator species. Native species are apex predators. Do not engage without extreme caution. The file showed images of humans. Thelvis stared at them in growing horror. Their eyes faced forward. Predator eyes. Eyes designed to track and hunt. Their teeth were partially exposed. Sharp teeth for tearing meat. Their bodies were thick with muscle and dense bone. They could survive in conditions that would kill most galactic species. What have I done? Thelvis whispered. I called for help and monsters answered. He watched footage from Earth. He saw humans hunting. He saw their wars. He saw their violence. The Velians had never had wars. They had never hunted. They ate plants grown in gardens. They resolved disputes with light patterns and discussion. Humans were different. Humans killed. Humans fought. Humans destroyed. Maybe, Thelvis thought with desperate hope, that was exactly what his people needed. He opened communications again. Captain Hana, I have accessed your species file. I must ask, are you truly here to help us? Or did we call something worse than the Ravagers? Hana's response was immediate. Coordinator, I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, humans are predators. Yes, we come from a dangerous world. Yes, we know how to kill. But here's what you need to understand. We choose what we hunt. And right now we're choosing to hunt the things that are hunting you. Why? Thelvis asked. What do you gain from helping us? Maybe nothing, Hana admitted. But on Earth we have a saying. We judge people not by how they treat their equals, but by how they treat those who cannot fight back. The galaxy is full of species who ignored your call. They let you die because helping you was too dangerous. We're here because someone needed to be, and because we're good at being dangerous. Thelvis felt something shift inside him. Hope. Fragile and small, but real. What do you need from us? He asked. Evacuate your remaining population to the southern hemisphere. Get everyone underground if you can. And Coordinator, you might want to keep your children from watching what happens next. War is not pretty, and humans don't fight the way civilized species fight. We fight the way we had to fight to survive. I understand, Thelvis said, though he did not understand. Not yet. On the Earthship, Commander Hyun gathered his Marines. There were 300 of them spread across the 3 ships. They stood in the briefing room wearing their combat armor. The armor was black and gray, covered in sensors and weapon mounts. It made them look even more frightening. Hyun pulled up images of the Ravagers. Listen up. These things have killed 43 million civilians in 1 month. They dissolve their victims with acid. They eat entire civilizations. They've wiped out 17 species. They think they're unstoppable. He paused, looking at his Marines. They've never fought humans before. They've never met a species that evolved fighting every day just to survive. They've never faced predators who turned hunting into an art form. Today they learn what happens when you threaten someone Earth decides to protect. The Marines were silent, but their eyes were hard. They checked their weapons. They prepared their gear. They were ready. Dr. Sue was in the medical bay. She studied the Ravager biology data. Her specialty was xenobiology. She understood alien life forms. And the more she studied the Ravagers, the more she found weaknesses. Every living thing had weaknesses. You just had to know where to look. She began developing toxins, chemical compounds that would exploit the Ravagers' biology. Humanity had spent thousands of years learning how to poison things that tried to kill them. Snakes, spiders, plants, bacteria. Now she would use that knowledge against an alien threat. On the bridge, Jay was coordinating with the other two Earthships. The UNSC Relentless and the UNSC Defiant took up positions on either side of the Indomitable. Together they began moving toward Velia Prime. The Ravagers noticed them, 3 small ships approaching their feast. The Ravager swarm mind considered the ships briefly, then dismissed them. 3 ships against 3,000. It was not even worth paying attention to. That was their first mistake, and it would be their last. All ships battle stations, Hana ordered. Weapons free. Target the orbital swarm first. Let's clear them a path to breathe, Captain, Jay said quietly. We're outnumbered 1,000 to 1, Hana smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Lieutenant, humanity spent its entire history outnumbered. We were weaker than bears, slower than wolves, less poisonous than snakes. But we're still here, and they're extinct. The Ravagers are about to learn why. She opened communications to the entire fleet. All hands, this is Captain Hana. Today we make first contact with a hostile alien species. They've killed millions. They think they're unstoppable. Let's show them what Earth thinks about bullies who prey on the helpless. Make them remember. Make them regret. And if any of them survive, make sure they tell the rest of the galaxy what happens when you ask humans for help. The 3 Earth ships accelerated toward the swarm. Their weapons powered up, their shields activated, and somewhere deep in each ship humans prepared to do what humans had always done best. Survive. Fight. Win. The first railgun shot crossed the distance between the UNSC Indomitable and the Ravager swarm in less than a second. The tungsten rod, traveling at a significant fraction of light speed, hit a bioship and went straight through it. The bioship exploded from the inside, spraying acid and organic matter into space. On Velia Prime, Thelvas watched the battle through long-range sensors. He saw 1 Ravager ship die, then another, then 10 more. The 3 Earth ships were moving through the swarm like knives cutting through flesh. How are they doing that? Pelrim whispered beside him. Thelvas could not answer. He had never seen anything like it. The Velian defense fleet had tried to fight the Ravagers. Their ships had died in minutes. The Council fleets had calculated that defeating the swarm would require at least 50 heavy warships and thousands of lives lost. The humans had 3 ships, and they were winning. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Hana watched the tactical display. Target their command ships. The bigger ones. Jay, coordinate fire with Relentless and Defiant. I want overlapping kill zones. Yes, Captain, Jay replied. His fingers flew across the controls. The 3 ships moved in a pattern they had practiced 100 times. They covered each other. When one ship fired, the others protected it. When one ship reloaded, the others took over. The Ravagers finally realized these 3 ships were a real threat. The swarm mind shifted its attention. 1,000 bioships turned toward the humans. They accelerated, closing the distance. Their acid weapons charged. Here they come, Commander Hyun said from the weapons station. Prepare missile pods. The Ravager ships opened fire. Streams of bioacid shot across space. The Earth ship's shields absorbed most of it. The rest splashed against the armor plating. The acid burned and hissed, but the armor held. Shields at 70%, Jay reported. Return fire, Hana ordered. All missile pods. The 3 Earth ships launched hundreds of missiles simultaneously. The missiles split into multiple warheads. They dodged and weaved through the swarm. When they hit the bioships, they did not just explode. They released heat so intense that it boiled the Ravagers from the inside. They released electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the bioelectric signals the Ravagers used to coordinate. They released shrapnel that tore through organic tissue like paper. In 30 seconds, 300 Ravager ships died. But there were still thousands left. They swarmed around the Earth ships like insects. Some of them tried to latch onto the hulls. They wanted to bore through and board the ships. That was how the Ravagers fought. They overwhelmed. They boarded. They consumed. The first Ravager breach occurred on the UNSC Defiant. Acid burned through the outer hull. A dozen Ravager warriors poured inside. They were terrible to look at. Each one was 3 meters tall, covered in chitinous armor, with 6 limbs ending in claws. Their mouths dripped acid. They had no eyes, but they could sense heat and movement. They entered a corridor filled with human Marines. Commander Hyun was there with his squad. He had transferred to the Defiant when the boarding began. The Ravagers charged. They had done this 1,000 times before. Most species panicked when they saw the Ravagers up close. Most species tried to run. Most species died screaming. The humans did not run. They did not panic. They opened fire. The corridor exploded with sound and light. Rifles fired bullets made of depleted uranium. They punched through chitin armor like it was not there. Grenades bounced along the floor and detonated, sending shrapnel in all directions. And when one Ravager got too close, Hyun drew a blade and cut it down with practiced efficiency. "Is that all you got?" Hyun shouted. His voice was amplified by his armor. "Come on. We fought worse things in our own oceans." The Ravagers tried to spray acid. The Marine's armor protected them. One Marine got splashed on his unprotected arm. He screamed in pain. Another Marine dragged him back while continuing to fire with one hand. Dr. Su's voice came over the communication line. "Commander, I'm uploading new targeting data. Aim for the thorax, 3rd segment down. That's where their main nerve cluster is." The Marines adjusted their aim. The Ravagers started dying faster. More Ravagers poured through the breach, 20, then 30. They filled the corridor. But the humans had 1,000 years of experience fighting in tight spaces. They had fought in trenches, in buildings, in caves. They knew how to turn a narrow corridor into a killing ground. Hyun set up a machine gun on a tripod. It fired 800 rounds per minute. Ravagers fell in waves. "Fall back by squads," he ordered. "Squad 1, retreat 20 meters. Squad 2, covering fire, move." The humans retreated in order. Each squad covered the others. They left mines and traps behind them. When the Ravagers followed, they walked into ambushes. On the Indomitable, Captain Hana was fighting her own battle. She maneuvered the ship through the swarm, firing constantly. The railguns never stopped. The missiles kept launching. The point defense system shot down anything that got too close. "Captain, the Defiant reports multiple breaches," Jay said. "Commander Hyun is holding, but they need support." "Bring us alongside," Hana ordered. "Open the port airlocks. Send boarding teams across. If the Ravagers want to board our ships, let's return the favor." What happened next was something the Ravagers had never experienced. Human Marines crossed from the Indomitable to the Defiant using magnetic boots and tether lines. They moved through space like they had been born there. When they reached the Defiant, they entered through the breaches the Ravagers had made, and they started hunting. The Ravagers were used to being the hunters. They were the ones who boarded enemy ships. They were the ones who spread through corridors and killed everything. Now they were the prey. And humans, it turned out, were very good at hunting in enclosed spaces. Private Tai was part of the boarding team. He was young, only 21 years old. This was his first real combat. He was terrified. His hands shook. But he had trained for this, and he had his squad with him. They found a group of Ravagers in a cargo bay. The creatures were trying to reach the ship's reactor. If they destroyed that, the entire ship would die. "Contact," Tay shouted. He opened fire. The other Marines spread out. They used the cargo containers for cover. They moved and fired, moved and fired. It was exactly like training, except the targets shot back and wanted to eat him. A Ravager charged at Tay. He emptied his magazine into it. The creature fell. Another one came from the side. Tay's squad leader shot it down. "Stay focused," the squad leader yelled. "Trust your training." Tay reloaded. His hands were steadier now. The fear was still there, but it was controlled. Useful. He remembered what his instructor had told him back on Earth. Fear keeps you alive. It makes you faster, stronger, more alert. Don't fight the fear. Use it. He used it. He kept firing. He kept moving. And slowly, the Ravagers in the cargo bay died. Back on the bridge of the Indomitable, Dr. Su had finished her analysis. "Captain, I found a vulnerability. The Ravagers use pheromones to coordinate. If we can disrupt their chemical signals, they'll lose cohesion. I've developed a compound that should work. It's based on Earth wasp pheromones, modified for Ravager biology. Will it kill them?" Hana asked. "No, but it will confuse them. Make them attack each other. Give us an advantage, and how do we deploy it? Load it into missiles. When they explode near the bioships, it will spread through their organic systems. Do it, Hana ordered. Load all available missiles with the doctor's compound. Target the densest parts of the swarm. 10 minutes later, the modified missiles launched. When they detonated, they released clouds of chemicals. The Ravagers who flew through the clouds started behaving strangely. They stopped coordinating. They bumped into each other. Some even started attacking their own swarm mates. The battle shifted. The humans pressed their advantage. The 3 Earth ships carved through the confused swarm. Railguns fired. Missiles exploded. Lasers cut through bioships like hot knives. On Valia Prime, Thelvas watched in amazement. The humans were not just fighting. They were winning. Against odds that had seemed impossible, they were actually winning. How? Pelrim asked. How are they doing this? Thelvas thought about the information he had read about Earth. A world where everything tried to kill you, where humans had to fight every day just to survive, where being weak meant death. They've been training for this fight their entire evolutionary history, Thelvas said quietly. Every species on their world that competed with them is extinct. They climbed to the top of their food chain by being more dangerous than everything else. The Ravagers are predators, but humans are apex predators. In space, the battle continued. The Ravager swarm was breaking. For the first time in a century, they were losing. The swarm mind felt something it had never felt before. Something that might have been fear if swarms could feel fear. It made a decision. It ordered a full retreat, but Captain Hana had been watching for this. They're trying to run, she said. Do not let them escape. Pursuit course. All ships, Captain, Jay said. If we pursue, we'll leave Velia Prime exposed. The Ravagers on the planet are cut off from the swarm, Hana replied. The Velians can handle stragglers. We need to finish this. If we let them escape, they'll just attack someone else. We end this here. We end this now. The 3 Earth ships chased the fleeing Ravagers, and in the corridors of... The chase lasted 3 hours. The Ravager swarm fled toward the outer planets of the Velian system. The 3 Earth ships followed. Captain Hana sat in her command chair, eyes locked on the tactical display. The Ravagers were trying to reach the system's edge where they could jump to faster-than-light speed and escape. Increase speed, Hana ordered. We need to catch them before they jump. Captain, our engines are already at maximum, Jay reported. We can't go any faster. Hana studied the display. The Ravagers would reach the jump point in 15 minutes. The Earth ships needed 18 minutes. They would not make it in time. Unless... Ready the Lancer missiles, Hana said. Jay turned to look at her. Captain, those are our last Lancers. If we use them now, if we let the Ravagers escape, they'll kill more people. Other worlds. Other species. Ready the missiles, Jay nodded. The Lancer missiles were humanity's newest weapon. They were equipped with their own small, faster-than-light drives. They could jump ahead of the fleet, then drop back into normal space right in front of enemy ships. Lancers ready, Jay confirmed. Fire. 6 missiles launched from the 3 Earth ships. They jumped into faster-than-light space. 3 seconds later, they appeared directly in the path of the fleeing Ravagers. The swarm could not avoid them at their current speed. The missiles detonated. The explosions were nuclear. 6 small suns bloomed in space. The leading edge of the Ravager swarm vanished. Hundreds of bioships simply ceased to exist. The rest of the swarm had to slow down to avoid flying into the radiation clouds. That was all the Earth ships needed. They closed the distance. They opened fire again. Target their queen ship, Commander Hyun said. He had returned to the Indomitable's bridge. His armor was still scored and burned, but he refused to go to medical. Every swarm species has a queen. Kill her and the rest fall apart. How do we know which one is the queen? Jay asked. The biggest one, Hyun said. Always the biggest one. On the tactical display, there was indeed one bioship that was enormous. It was 5 times the size of the others. It stayed in the center of the swarm, protected by hundreds of smaller ships. That's our target, Hana confirmed. All ships concentrate fire. I want that thing dead. The 3 Earth ships pushed through the swarm. They fired everything they had. The Ravagers fought back desperately now. They knew they were fighting for survival. Their acid weapons blazed. Their smaller ships threw themselves at the Earth ships, trying to slow them down. Shields failing, Jay shouted. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Keep firing, Hana ordered. We're almost there. The Indomitable shuddered as a bioship rammed into its side. Alarms blared. But the ship kept moving forward. The railguns kept firing. One shot after another slammed into the Queen ship. Its organic armor began to crack. She's trying to jump, Jay warned. The Queen is charging her faster than light organs. Not on my watch, Hana said. She activated the ship's main weapon. It was called a mass driver. It fired a piece of metal the size of a car at nearly the speed of light. The mass driver could only fire once per hour. It used so much energy that it drained the ship's entire capacitor bank. But when it hit, nothing survived. The projectile crossed the distance in an instant. It hit the Queen ship's center mass. The impact released energy equivalent to a large nuclear bomb. The Queen ship exploded. Its death scream echoed across every frequency the Ravagers used to communicate. The rest of the swarm went insane. Without the Queen's coordination, they lost all sense of purpose. Some fled in random directions. Some attacked each other. Some just stopped moving, drifting in space. Finish them, Hana ordered. No survivors. No escapees. The Ravagers die here. What followed was not a battle. It was an extermination. The Earth ships methodically hunted down every remaining Ravager. They tracked the ones that tried to flee. They destroyed the ones that tried to hide. They even swept the asteroid belt, looking for any bioships that might be lurking there. Lieutenant Jay coordinated the search. He used every sensor the fleet had: thermal, electromagnetic, biological. Nothing escaped his attention. When he found a cluster of Ravager eggs hidden on a small moon, he reported it immediately. Captain, we've found what looks like a Ravager breeding site. Thousands of eggs, maybe more. Hana's response was immediate. Destroy it. Captain, they're just eggs. They haven't hatched yet. They're not a threat. Hana turned to look at him. Her eyes were hard. Lieutenant, those eggs will hatch. They will become Ravagers. Those Ravagers will build ships and attack other worlds, other species, other children. Do you want to be responsible for the deaths those creatures cause? Because I don't, Jay hesitated. Then he nodded. No, Captain. Targeting the moon now. The Indomitable fired a series of missiles at the moon. They were special weapons. They burrowed into the surface before detonating. The moon's crust cracked. Magma welled up from below. The heat was so intense that nothing could survive. Every egg burned. Every larvae died. Dr. Sue watched from the medical bay. Part of her, the scientist, felt regret. Those were biological specimens. Unique life forms. There was so much they could have learned. But another part of her, the part that had seen the images of dissolved Velian children, felt no regret at all. Some species did not deserve to continue. Some threats had to be eliminated completely. On Velia Prime, Coordinator Thelvas received reports from the planet's surface. The Ravagers that had been left behind were dying. Without the swarm to coordinate them, they were just individual creatures. The Velian defense forces, small as they were able to hunt them down. The humans were right, Pelrim said. Kill the Queen and the rest fall apart. They knew, Thelvas said quietly. They understood how the Ravagers worked. They studied them, found their weakness, and exploited it. In hours, they did what the entire council could not do in years. What kind of species are they? Thelvas thought about that. A dangerous one. But perhaps that is what the galaxy needs. Species like ours, we can create beauty. We can build and grow and think. But we cannot fight. When predators come, we need other predators to protect us. Hours later, the Earth ships returned to Velia Prime. They had swept the entire system. Every Ravager was dead. Every egg destroyed. Every bioship turned to debris. The Ravager presence in the Velian system was completely eliminated. Captain Hana opened communications with Thelvas. Coordinator, the system is clear. The Ravager threat has been neutralized. Neutralized? Thelvas asked. You mean eliminated? You killed them all. Yes, Hana confirmed. Every single one. Why so thorough? Why not just drive them away? Hana was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was calm but firm. Coordinator, on Earth we have a saying. The only way to stop a predator from killing is to make sure it can never kill again. The Ravagers killed 43 million of your people. They've destroyed 17 other species. They don't negotiate. They don't surrender. They just consume. So we made sure they can't consume anyone ever again. Thelvas understood. It was brutal. It was harsh. But it was also merciful in a strange way. How many other species would the Ravagers have killed if they had been allowed to escape? How many more millions would have died? You did what needed to be done, Thelvas said finally. My people are alive because of you. But I must ask, Captain Hana, You showed no mercy to the Ravagers. You hunted them to extinction. Should we fear that same ruthlessness? That depends, Hana replied. Did you call us here to hurt people? Did you attack us? Did you threaten innocent lives? No, we called for help. Then you have nothing to fear from us. We're predators, Coordinator, but we choose our prey carefully. We hunt the hunters. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. The galaxy is going to learn that humans can be the most dangerous species in the universe. But we're only dangerous to those who deserve it, Commander Hyun added from beside Hana. The Ravagers had a choice. They chose to be predators. They chose to kill innocent people. We didn't start this fight, but we finished it. Dr. Sue, monitoring from medical, sent her own message. Coordinator, I studied the Ravagers extensively. They have no capacity for change, no ability to choose differently. They are locked into their behavior by biology. Some species are like that. They cannot be reasoned with or reformed. The kindest thing, the most merciful thing, is to end their threat permanently. Thelvis felt a chill run through his crystalline body. These humans were terrifying. They spoke of extinction with calm logic. They hunted an entire species to death without hesitation. They were monsters, but they were monsters who had saved his world. Monsters who had fought for people they had never met. Monsters who chose to protect instead of prey. Thank you, Thelvis said simply. Thank you for coming. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for being the monsters the galaxy needed. You're welcome, Captain Hana replied. We're going to stay for a few days to help with cleanup and repairs. After that, we'll return to Earth, but Coordinator, if you need help again, or if you hear of other species in trouble, contact us. We'll come. The galaxy needs to know about this, Thelvis said. They need to know what you did here. Then tell them, Hana said. Tell them Earth answered when no one else would. Tell them we're here, and tell them we're listening for anyone who needs help. News of the Ravager defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Coordinator Thelvis kept his promise. He broadcast everything. The distress call that the Council ignored. The arrival of 3 Earthships. The battle that destroyed a swarm that had killed 17 species. The complete elimination of the Ravager presence in the Velian system. The galactic community reacted with shock and disbelief. The Cosmic Council held an emergency session. Ambassador Velthar, a species that resembled large floating jellyfish, led the discussion. This is unprecedented, Velthar declared. An unknown species from outside Council space has engaged in military action without authorization. They have exterminated an entire Ravager swarm. While the Valians are grateful, we must address the implications. What if these humans decide to turn their weapons on us? Another ambassador, Kresh of the Traded Federation, spoke up. We should have helped the Velians. The humans did what we were too afraid to do. Maybe we should be thanking them, not questioning them. Thanking them? Velthar's voice was sharp. They are Deathworlders, predators. Have you seen the footage? They hunt with joy. They showed no mercy. They exterminated every Ravager, even the eggs. What kind of species does that? A species that takes threats seriously, Kresh replied. A species that actually helps when asked. The debate continued for hours. Some species were grateful. Some were frightened. Some were cautiously interested. But all of them remembered the name, Earth. On Velia Prime, the recovery had begun. Earthships assisted with the cleanup. Human engineers helped repair damaged infrastructure. Dr. Sue and her medical team treated wounded Velians. They had to develop entirely new procedures because Velian biology was so different from human biology. But they managed. Otter, Lieutenant J, coordinated with Velian scientists. They were fascinated by human technology. The weapons, the ships, the tactics, but they were more fascinated by the humans themselves. You're so different from us, said a Velian scientist named Kresnim. You can survive injuries that would kill us. You can lift objects many times your weight. Your reaction speed is incredible. And yet you're also kind. You help us repair our homes. You share your food. You play with our children. I don't understand, Jay smiled. We're complicated. Yeah, we're predators. Yeah, we evolved on a dangerous world, but we also evolved as social creatures. We survive by working together, by helping each other. Sure, we can be violent, but we can also choose when to be violent and when to be gentle. The choice, Kresnim said thoughtfully. That's what makes you dangerous. Not your weapons or your strength, but your ability to choose. Exactly, Jay agreed. Commander Hyun spent time training Velian security forces. They had never needed military training before. Now they understood they might need it in the future. Other threats might come. They needed to be able to defend themselves. Fighting is not about being aggressive, Yun explained to a group of Velian recruits. It's about protecting what you love. You don't fight because you want to hurt people. You fight because you want to stop people from being hurt. Remember that. The Velians listened carefully. They would never be warriors like humans. Their bodies were too fragile. Their minds too peaceful. But they could learn the basics. They could learn to defend their homes. Captain Hana received a communication from Earth Command. Captain, your actions at Velia Prime have caused quite a stir. The Galactic Council wants to meet with Earth representatives. They're offering us membership. What are our orders? Hana asked. Return to Earth. You and your crew will be part of the delegation. Earth wants people who have actually met other species to represent us. Hana felt a weight settle on her shoulders. This was bigger than a rescue mission now. This was about Earth's place in the galaxy. Before they left, Thelvis invited the human command staff to a ceremony. The Velians had built a monument in their capital city. It was made of crystal and metal reaching toward the sky. Carved into it were the names of the 43 million Velians who had died. And at the base, in several languages including human English, were the words, "When darkness came, the monsters of Earth answered." "We will never forget what you did," Thelvis said to Hana and her crew. "You came when no one else would. You fought when others ran. You saved us." Hana shook her head. "We just did what was right." "That is why we will remember," Thelvis replied. "Because doing what is right is often difficult. And you did it anyway." The 3 Earthships departed Velia Prime 3 days later. The Velians watched them go. Children flashed light patterns of farewell. Adults stood in silence, honoring the strange predators who had become their saviors. When the Earth delegation arrived at the Galactic Council, they were met with mixed reactions. Some species welcomed them eagerly, others were openly hostile. The council chamber was enormous, designed to hold representatives from hundreds of species. Captain Hana, Lieutenant Jay, Commander Hyun, and Dr. Su stood before the assembled council. Ambassador Velthar led the questioning. "Why should we trust you?" Velthar demanded. "You are predators. Death Worlders. Your actions at Velia Prime were brutal. You showed no mercy." Hana stepped forward. "You're right. We showed no mercy to the Ravagers. They were killing millions. They had destroyed 17 species. They were never going to stop. So we stopped them, permanently." "That is exactly what concerns us," Velthar said. "What if we anger you? What if we disagree with you? Will you turn your weapons on us? Do you plan to attack innocent people?" Hana asked calmly. "Of course not. Then you have nothing to fear from us." Another ambassador spoke up. "It was Kresh from the Traded Federation. The real question is this: why did you help the Velians? What did you gain?" Hana looked at him steadily. "We gained nothing. We spent resources. We risked lives. We made enemies of anyone who might have been friendly with the Ravagers. We did it because it was the right thing to do. Because someone needed help and we could provide it? That's not logical," Velthar said. "No species acts purely from altruism." Commander Hyun stepped forward. "Ambassador, I lost 3 Marines at Velia Prime, good people. They died protecting aliens they had never met before. You know why they were willing to die? Because on Earth we decided a long time ago that being strong means protecting the weak. That being dangerous means choosing to be dangerous to the right things. We're not perfect. We have wars. We have conflicts. But we try to be better." Dr. Su added, "We understand your fear. We're predators. We evolved hunting and killing. But we also evolved caring for our sick, protecting our young, working together. We're not one-dimensional. Yes, we can be violent. But we can also be healers, teachers, friends. You get to choose which side of us you see by choosing how you treat others." The council chamber was silent. Then Kresh spoke again. "I propose we offer Earth full membership in the Galactic Council. With one condition." "What condition?" Hana asked. "That Earth agrees to respond to distress calls from other species. That you become what you showed the Velians you could be. Protectors." Velthar objected. "You want to give them official sanction to be the galaxy's military force? That's insane." "Is it?" Kresh replied. "We sent condolences to the Velians while they died. Earth sent ships. Earth sent soldiers. Earth actually helped. Maybe we need a species that's willing to fight when fighting is necessary. Maybe we need predators who choose to hunt other predators. The debate raged for hours. Finally, a vote was called. The result was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Earth was offered membership in the Galactic Council. With it came the Treaty of Terran Protection. Earth would respond to legitimate distress calls. Earth would defend species that could not defend themselves. In return, Earth would have full access to galactic trade, technology, and resources. Captain Hana accepted on behalf of Earth. We agreed to these terms. But understand this. We will decide what constitutes a legitimate threat. We will not be your army to wage wars of conquest. We will not be your weapon to use against your political enemies. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. That's the only job we're interested in. Agreed, Kresh said. The treaty is signed. Earth's entry into the galactic community changed everything. Over the next year, Earth received hundreds of distress calls. Some were legitimate emergencies. Some were tests to see if humans would really respond. Some were traps set by species who wanted to see if humans could be defeated. Earth responded to every single call, sometimes with military force, sometimes with humanitarian aid, sometimes with diplomatic negotiations, but they always responded. And the galaxy learned. They learned that humans kept their promises. They learned that humans fought fiercely but could also be gentle. They learned that humans were dangerous, but only to those who chose to be threats. Other Death World species, inspired by Earth's example, began to emerge from isolation. They too offered their strength to protect the weak. The balance of power in the galaxy shifted. The peaceful species no longer lived in constant fear of predators like the Ravagers. Because now they had their own predators who chose to protect instead of prey. In the end, the galaxy learned a simple truth. Monsters exist. They always have and always will. But the monsters you need to fear are the ones who prey on the weak. The monsters who protect the weak, those monsters become legends.